All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to our very first flip video. For those of you who missed this demonstration class, because we're going to do this together in class the first time, if you miss it before you sit down and take your notes on this, you're going to need to watch both the video on Cornell Notes, and I recommend watching the video recording from the website of me going over this in class. So this way you'll, as you progress throughout the year, you'll know exactly what you need to be doing. All right, so today's video is about just a general introduction to chemistry. A lot of the stuff that teachers typically spend a minute or no time on or tell you to read in the book, I'm using this for us as a way to practice taking notes in this flip video classroom style. Okay, so what is chemistry? Well, basically, chemistry is the study of matter. That's the most basic definition we can give. I remember when I was a kid in school, the first time the teacher said that, what is chemistry? In my mind, it was going to be mixing chemicals and blowing stuff up. And when she said chemistry is the study of matter, that kind of blew the whole thing for me, unfortunately. But I promise this year we'll do some pretty cool stuff. But the important thing here is to remember the definition of chemistry is the study of matter. Now, this should be review. So if I were to say, what is matter? Hopefully for most of us, what should come to mind is that matter is stuff, all that stuff around us. Okay? It can be living or non-living. Okay, so it can be living or non-living. It's all matter. With chemistry, there are different areas of study. One area of study is organic chemistry. Now, organic chemistry is very specific. It's dealing with compounds containing the element carbon. On the flip side, inorganic chemistry is going to be the study of chemicals that do not contain carbon. Biochemistry, which you're not really going to do much this year. You did some in biology last year, but that's the study of processes that take place in organisms. Right? So if you remember things like photosynthesis and cellular respiration, those were examples of biochemistry. And there's analytical chemistry, which is the study of the composition of matter, as well as physical chemistry, which is the study of the mechanism, rate, and energy transfer every time matter undergoes a change. We're going to be dealing a lot with physical chemistry this year. Now, the two overlying fields of chemistry, you have pure chemistry, and that's the pursuit of chemical knowledge for its own sake. That's what we're going to do. That's a lot of what takes place in college chemistry courses as well as high school chemistry courses. But then you also have applied chemistry, and that's where somebody's doing research directed towards a practical goal or application. Some examples like this in history were the development of nylon, used in stockings and all sorts of other things, as well as aspirin or other medications. All right, so why even study chemistry in the first place? What does that really mean to any of us? Well, it's a great way to explain the natural world. Last year in biology, you hopefully learned a lot of things that help you understand about the living things around you. Chemistry helps understand how a lot of things like that work, as well as non-living things around you. All right, now I'm going to step aside for a moment and talk about why there's a font color change on here. Anytime when you're seeing one of these flip videos and something comes on in a different color, unless I specify otherwise, it's something for you to think about, but you don't have to write it down in these summary parts of your notes section. So I'm not going to necessarily make you list all the examples I give. So I'll be putting those usually in a blue font like this. Okay, so what are some examples of how chemistry helps us explain the natural world? Well, why do apples turn brown? Right? If you bite into an apple or cut into an apple and leave it out, there's actually a chemical reaction between stuff in the air and the stuff on the surface of the apple that makes it turn brown. Why do the texture of eggs change when they're cooked? Why does water expand as it freezes? Why does sugar dissolve faster in hot water than it does in cold water? These are all things that you're going to learn a bit about this year. You could also think of why should I study chemistry as a preparation for a career. Now, it could be a career as a chemist. That's kind of like the obvious choice here. But chemistry is really important. Let's say you want to go to med school, become a doctor. Let's say you want to be like me, and become a teacher. But not only things like that, because there's other fields where you wouldn't quite think of it, where chemistry becomes important. It's important for firefighters. If they're going into a burning building and there's stuff there, they need to know how the chemicals in the building are going to react to the great heat of the fire. Even landscapers, as they're deciding what types of fertilizers to use for what types of soil and plant and whatnot, they need at least a working knowledge of chemistry. Let's say you want to be a reporter. Well, if you get assigned to write a story that has anything chemical about it, you don't want to look like an idiot when you're asking your questions and when you're giving your story to the public. Another great reason is simply to be an informed citizen. If you're reading a newspaper article or watching something on the news, one, you want to know if the reporter's lying to you, but if they use chemical-type terms, having a basic knowledge from high school chemistry will at least help you understand what they're saying a little better. Also, if you ever plan on voting, I tend to have a general distrust of politicians. Usually anybody who wants power is going to be somebody I'm going to tend to distrust. But they're going to tell you a lot of things as they're vying for your vote, as well as they'll tell you a lot of things while they're in office. And anything that might have to do with anything related to chemistry, at least here, having taken a chemistry course, you'll have some basic knowledge in chemistry. All right, this brings us to the end of our first flip video. Hope you find it useful. I hope as I watched this in class with you, I didn't grimace at myself too much, and anybody who laughed at me will fail for the year. Just kidding.